When you think of the most iconic and memorable moments from the Lord of the Rings movies, what comes to mind? Gandalf's fall, the charge of the Rohirrim, Aragorn's conquest? Well, ranking alongside those moments for many is the Council of Elrond.
And you have my bow.
And my axe.
What makes these lines so powerful is seeing complete strangers come together and volunteer their lives for the greater good. But it's completely different from the books, and it could have been even more different. In this video, we'll talk about some fan-favourite characters who were almost a part of the Fellowship, but didn't make it, and how the final lineup was chosen. But first, some context. In the books, the choosing of the Fellowship isn't a caught-up-in-the-moment volunteering process. It's a strategic, long-term planning effort with a ton of different candidates. And a bunch more could have been considered. It's honestly more like picking a draft team than a spur-of-the-moment twisting of fate like in the films. First of all, it's implied that Elrond sent for each member of the group. However, in canon, it was entirely down to chance. The dwarves came because of a mysterious Black Rider, who many interpret as the mouth of Sauron, but was much more likely a wraith visited Erebor, asking about the ring, and they sought for Elrond's wisdom on who it was. Legolas went by the behest of his father, Thranduil, to inform them that Gollum had escaped Greenwood. Strider, Gandalf and Frodo were of course there because of the ring, and finally Boromir was there for a much stranger reason. He, along with Faramir, received a prophetic dream where he was told, "Seek for the sword that was broken, in Imladris it dwells. There shall counsels be taken, stronger than Morgul's spells." This was almost definitely sent by Irimo, the Valar of Dream, and so calling this meeting a coincidence isn't exactly correct. It's clear that at least some meddling from the Valar was done to ensure this meeting happened. As you know, it was decided the ring must be taken to Mordor. Sauron couldn't have been defeated by military might alone, and so options like hiding the ring would have been utterly useless. But how to take it there? Of course there's the long talked about strategy of taking the eagles there, but as I'll cover in a future video, that would have been a terrible idea. Eagles could have been tempted by the ring, Sauron could have shot them down, and most importantly, the mission was to be done in secret. Sauron didn't know the quest was happening, and that was their advantage. He hadn't even considered that someone would try something so dangerous, and so the plan had to be more low-key. Somebody had to carry it, and that person would be the first member of the Fellowship, Bilbo. He's the one that first volunteers, quite reluctantly, to take the ring. However, given his age, it was instead decided that Frodo would be the one who had taken the ring. This was obviously changed in the film to having Frodo straight up volunteer, which in my opinion was a great change. From there, the decisions are quite logical. Sam had long been by Frodo's side, and so Sam became the second member of the Fellowship, with Gandalf joining swiftly after. As the Grey Pilgrim, he had basically been everywhere, and so there was no one more qualified for a trip across Middle-earth. But immediately the other options start to look more strange. Someone that was considered to help was Tom Bombadil, a character so bizarre Peter Jackson straight up didn't bother including him. When Frodo meets Tom Bombadil, he shows unnatural resistance to the ring's temptation, and so he was considered to keep the ring for a while. But somewhat hilariously, the reason he wasn't chosen was that he would straight up forget the ring existed. He's so chill of a character and cares so little for power that he would barely even understand the ring's importance. Because of this resistance to the ring, he might have even made a better ring carrier than Frodo, but again, given that he straight up does not give a fuck, he wasn't chosen. A similar character who you might have thought deserved to be in the Fellowship was Radagast the Brown. He's certainly active during the time of Lord of the Rings, and I can just imagine what creative usage of birds and beasts he might get. But unlike Tom Bombadil, he's an Astari. His job in Middle-earth was to help resist Sauron, and so I have a feeling that he would say yes if asked to join the Fellowship. Now, Elrond did actually send for Radagast, however he seems to have gone missing around the time of the Council of Elrond. To quote, "The elves had climbed past the sources of the Gladden River, he had come down to the Wilderland and over the Gladden Fields, and so at length had reached the old home of Radagast of Roscabel. Radagast was not there." Now, it isn't stated that Radagast's home was destroyed, merely that he wasn't there, and so it's unlikely that he died, he was just out doing different things. Now, we can come up with theories about what he might have been doing during this period, but the bottom line is that he wasn't available to join the Fellowship, although that hypothetical would have been pretty cool. Someone who did join, however, was Aragorn. He had already planned a journey to Gondor, where he was going with Boromir. However, given that Gondor and Mordor were pretty close, he decided to go with the Fellowship for some of the way, although after Gandalf's death in Moria, he decided he would lead Frodo if he had to. So we already have some wizards, some hobbits and some men, but Elrond wanted some diversity in there. Elrond believed that a member of each race should join the Fellowship, as this is a quest and burden that belonged to the entire world, so everybody should contribute. An elf and a dwarf were to be chosen, and this turned out to be Legolas and Gimli, both of whom were some of the best fighters of their race. Legolas had unnatural ability with a bow and arrow and was able to even shoot down a Nazgul. And Gimli was an absolute fighting machine who walked the entire quest in chainmail because he's just that damn strong. From here, it seemed wise that the strongest fighter possible was needed. An obvious choice from this would be Glorfindel, who had already done a great job transporting Frodo to Rivendell, although it was Arwen in the films. Glorfindel's feats are impressive and include killing a Balrog, making the Witch King flee from battle, and outwitting all 9 of the Wraiths. So let's just say he would have come in handy. However, there's one key reason he couldn't be picked. He was simply too powerful. Remember that stealth was a key component of the mission. Glorfindel's immense power might have been detected by Sauron, and so someone else had to be chosen, although seeing an overpowered elf demigod wipe through the challenges of the Fellowship would have been quite cool. Now, Elrond wanted the Fellowship to be 9 members to mirror the 9 members of the Nazgul, and so 2 slots for members remained. Elrond suggests that he could pick out 2 of his strongest scouts at Rivendell. It's never stated who these people might be, but I like to imagine he's referencing his sons, Elladan and Elrohir. But given it's never stated explicitly who he's talking about, that's only speculation. In the end, who he actually chooses is Meri and Pipin as they run into frame, claiming that they will be the final 2 members of the Fellowship, and that Elrond would have to tie them up to stop them. Now let's make one thing clear, it was fully within Elrond's means to tie up 2 tiny hobbits, but he allows them to go on the quest anyway, possibly because he sensed their destiny and what they would achieve. And with all 9 members picked, the Fellowship was formed. Here's a fun hypothetical. If you could craft your perfect fellowship with any 9 people who were active during the time of the War of the Ring, who would you choose to join it? I have some pretty cool ideas with this, but I think that's a video for another time. Either way, I really hope you guys enjoyed. This is the first video on this brand new channel. We plan in the future to have a lot of videos up about Lord of the Rings and A Song of Ice and Fire, talking about the deeper aspects of the lore. Also, given that we are a brand new channel, I would super appreciate any likes, comments, and sharing on social media of this video to help us grow. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.